Fine. So now we are going to create this similar table in our MySQL database. So once you have installed this MySQL installer, your machine will have ability to open a database. So you can just search in your start MySQL. When you search for this MySQL, you will have mainly two options. One is workbench and a command line. Workbench is nothing but it is a user interface module to connect with your database. And command line is nothing but you will be opening a CMD, a command prompt to access your database. So initially, it is very better if you go with the command prompt, because working with the command prompt might be a little harder. If you learn the harder way, then in your development process it will be very easy. That is why today we are going with the command line prompt. So let me open the command line. So once you open the command line, it will ask you a username password. This is just for protecting your database. Whenever you are opening a database, you will be asked a username password. So during installation, the installer will prompt you to enter a root password. So there is a user called as root. So that root user is the highest level user. That user can do any activity in your database. So whenever you open command line, it will ask you what is the root password. So while I am installing, I have given the password as root only. So I am giving that password. I am just giving a enter. So now I have into my database. Now, currently I am inside my database server. That is the MySQL. Now I need to go inside one particular database, because already we discussed inside one database server there will be multiple databases. Now I need to know what are all the database currently present in my system. So to display the list of databases, we have a command called show databases. So this will list all the databases available in your server. So what are the databases you are seeing here? These are all default databases created during the installation process. So we are not going to touch them. We are going to create our own database. So let us create our own database. So for that we also have another command called create database. And we need to give a database name. So let me give a database name called as Phoenix. Now it says database is created. Now if I execute show databases, I will be getting our database called Phoenix created. Now database is created. Now I need to get inside the database. To get inside the database, I need to execute the command use and the database name. So now currently I am inside my database. Okay, so till now we were in the server. We created a database, and after that we have now got entered into the database. So inside one database, as we discussed, there will be multiple tables. So now let us see what are the tables we have in the newly created database. For that, the command is show tables. So it is a empty because this is a fresh database. So in fresh database, usually you do not have any tables. So it is now our duty to create a table. So we are going to create a table which is going to be matching this table. So let me give a name for the table. The name for the table is student. Now let us create a table called student. So now let us execute a SQL query, create table and a table name. Then we need to give the column names. What are the column names we have? The first column is roll number, and after giving the column name, you need to give the data type of the column. There are many data types in our database. We are going to discuss very few today. So let us just list some data types. There is a data type called integer, which can store whole numbers, which can have long. This also can have whole number. Only difference is that the range of integer and range of long differs. It is only for small case, and this can hold a larger range than integer. And we have varchar, which can hold up to 254 characters in it, and we have long text. It can store variable length. There is no fixed length for it. That is, if you enter content of 200 character, it will be 200. If you enter 2000 character, it will elaborate itself to 2000 characters. So that is why we call it as a variable length. And we have date is a special data type just to store date in the format of year, month, and date. So this will be stored in the Western format. And like that, we also have double, which can store decimal values. So now let us see what data type we are going to use. So since I have roll number, I need to have it on an integer. So how many bytes I want to allot? I want to allot some 100 bytes. Then we have first name, varchar, how many characters I can allow? 100. Last name, that is also varchar with 100 characters. Then age, integer, age is not going to be not more than 3 digit. So I'm just allotting 5 bytes. Then gender, this is also varchar, 10, and DOB. DOB is a date type. For date, there is no need to mention the size because date is just a fixed format. So now this is the command to create your table. So just let me press a enter. Fine. So now the table is getting created. Now if you execute show tables, you'll be able to see your table. Fine. So now there is one more command called describe. Describe will describe how your table is structured. So after creating your table, if you want to see how many columns it has, what are the column types it has, you can describe your table. So describe table name student. So this will describe the student table. So this is how you will be creating a new table and you will be describing your table for a verification purpose. So now we have a table, that is we have created the structure. Now we need to know how to enter these data into your table. So to do that, we have a query called insert query. Insert into table name. Then you can provide the values for it. The values must be provided in the same order of your column. So if you have roll number as first, then the first value you enter must be for roll number. So 1001. And first name, whenever you enter any value for your DOB, your varchar, that must be enclosed either with single quote or double quote. So I'm going to use double quote here. Then last name, then I want age, then I want gender, then I want my DOB. So 1990 0130. Fine. So now the data is inserted. So that is what it is saying. Query is okay, one row affected. So if you have any problem in your query, it will not print you query okay. Instead of it will give you a error. So now we got query okay. That means the query has been executed. Now if you want to get a confirmation whether the data is entered into the table or not, you can execute a query called as select star from your table name. So this will retrieve the data from the table. So now you'll be able to view the data from the table. So this is the very fundamental activity what you can do with your MySQL. Fine. So now let us see what are things we have seen till now before getting further into the complex part. So now we have seen about almost around 6 queries. Number 1, we know how to list the databases in the server using show databases. So after that, we know how to pick one database by using database name. And after picking a database, we also know how to create a table. So create table, table name, and inside that you will have column name and its type. Like that you can have any number of columns. And after that we also inserted some data into the table. Insert into your table name and values, and inside your round bracket you will be giving your values in the same order of your column. And also we have one more command where you can select and retrieve the values from the table. So select star from your table name. So these are all just very fundamental query. We will get deeper in few minutes. And also we also saw some more commands called as create database to create your database. And also we saw one more command to describe your table. So these are very few basic commands using which you can start storing some information and retrieve some information from your database table. So before getting further, we need to understand a concept called as types of SQL queries. So now let us try to understand that before getting further. So we are writing a huge set of SQL commands. Now, these SQL commands are split into mainly 4 different types. Let us see what are all the 4 different types. The first one is called as DDL, that is data definition language. Data definition language. So data definition language. So what is this data definition language do? So whenever you are dealing with the structure of the table, like creating a table, changing the column name. See, you are creating a table, you can change the column name, you can remove one column, you can add a new column. Like that, whenever you deal with the structure of the table, then we call those queries as data definition language. Okay, so this is mainly dealing about the table's structure. So example, your create and alter. There are many more commands. These are just for example. And next, we have one more type called as DML, which is called as data manipulation language. So data manipulation means it is going to deal with the rows, the exact rows, like creating a new row, updating a value, or deleting the value. So these things are coming under the actual data. That is, for example, your insert query, whatever we have done to insert a new row, there is a query called update if you want to edit any information. There is a query called delete if you want to remove information. These are coming under DML. And there is one more language which is called DCL. It is called as data control language. So data control language means when we started our command line, we entered a password. When I entered the password, I told it is a root password. So like that, in your database, you can create multiple other users. You can provide certain permissions for them. Like you can create user 1 who can only execute select query. You can execute user 2 who can execute only update query, and you can set a password for them. So these kind of user authentication and authorization is called as controlling the data. So anything related to user management in your database is called as control language. So there are commands for it called as grant and revoke. That is granting the permission and getting back the permission. That is revoking the permission. So these are the three types. And finally we have a fourth type called as transaction language, TCL. It is called as transaction control language. So before getting into transaction control language, I will give you a small example so that you'll be able to relate why this transactional control language is required. Now consider you are making a GPay transaction. You are making a GPay transaction. Now consider there is a person called as Kumar, and there is one more person called as Ravi. Now what is going to happen is that Kumar is going to transfer 100 rupees to Ravi. So what Kumar will do? Kumar will initiate the process. When Kumar initiates the process, what will happen as a first step? The system will check what is the balance of Kumar. Because only when you have the sufficient balance, you will be able to transfer. So consider Kumar's balance is 500. And what is the amount of transfer? That is 100. So this becomes eligible. So now Kumar is having a balance of 500 and Kumar wants to transfer 100. So the transfer is eligible. So what will happen? In the third stage, amount will be debited from Kumar. How much amount will be debited? 100. And once it is debited, your new balance will become 400. And once it is debited, in the fifth step, here Ravi will be credited. How much? 100. And in the sixth step, Ravi's old balance will be added with the credit amount. Consider Ravi's old balance is 400. So 400 plus new 100, the new balance will become 500. This is the actual flow of your transaction. Now consider, in this particular stage, once your amount is getting debited and your balance is reduced, there is a problem in your application and your application crashes. So now what will happen? Your 100 rupees is credited, but still Ravi has not received it. So what will happen? Your 100 rupees will go missing. This is called data inconsistency. Why? Because your complete process is not completed. It is broken in the midway. So when it is broken in the midway, the 100 rupees is get lost. So you are also not having that 100. Ravi is also not having that 100. So that is why we have a concept called as TCL, Transaction Control Language. And what this TCL logic is, whenever there is a transaction is going on, a huge set of operation is going on, you only have two options. Either you complete all the step, or you revert back to the first stage, to the 0th stage. So whenever there is a problem, you need to revert back so that you go back to your 0th stage, so that the transaction is not happening, so that your 100 rupees is back to Kumar. So that is what TCL means. So your TCL is mainly maintained to make sure that your data is consistent. There is no data loss. So whenever there is a sequence of operation is going on, your TCL will make sure that either you complete all the action or everything is reverted back. That is why we have this particular TCL language. So for this TCL also, we have certain queries. For example, commit, roll back, and save point. So we'll be having all these queries. So today we will be concentrating more on DDL and DML. In tomorrow's part, we'll be checking our DCL and TCL. Fine. Now let us get into our table part. So now we have a table called student. Now let me enter one more data. So I am going to enter another data. Fine. So now the data is ready. Now if you look into this data, I am giving roll number 1001 to Shivam. Already we know that there is a person called Ashok Raj with the same roll number. But very well we know that roll number will not be repeating in a class. But I am trying to insert it. When I try to insert, it will insert. It will not throw me any error. So now this is also called as a data inconsistency, because you cannot have two students with the same roll number. So to avoid this situation, there is a concept called as primary key. So now let us see what is a primary key. So before going to that primary key, I do not want this table. So what I am going to do, I am going to delete all the contents from the table, and also I am going to delete the table also. So this delete command is part of your data definition language. So whenever you are deleting the contents, you call it as data manipulation. Whenever you are deleting the entire table, then we call it as a data definition language, because it is going to touch the structure of your table. So now let us try to delete the table. So to delete the table, there is a command called as drop command. So this drop command can be used to delete your table. So drop table name. So this will delete your table. If you execute show tables, there will be no table, because table is getting deleted. So now we have one more command in our DDL. After create, we have seen about delete also. Now let me create a new table. Create. The table name is same. Create table student, and I'm going to create the columns. So this time I'm going to use a different type of create table. Let us see what are the different type I'm going to create. So roll number, same integer 100, first name varchar 100, L name varchar 100, and age integer 10. Fine. Now I have given all the columns, but I'm not going to stop here. Last time we stopped here, so that we are getting that problem. Now I'm not going to stop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say primary key in bracket ID. That means after mentioning all the columns, sorry, not ID, roll number. After mentioning all the columns, I am saying that roll number is going to be a primary key. So whenever you declare any column as a primary key, then that column cannot have a repeating value. So now let us click a enter. Table is created. Now when you describe your table, you will have additional information. See, along your roll number, it is called as prime. Prime means nothing but it is coined as primary key, so that you will not be able to give a repeative value for the roll number. Now let us insert into the table, insert into student, values, roll number, name, last name, and age. Now that is done. Now let me insert another student with the same roll number. Sorry, I have inserted a wrong query, I think. But select star from student. Okay. So let me remove it. There are no data now. Let me insert it again. So let me give a roll number of 1001. Let me insert one more student with same 1001. This time we'll be getting a error, and let us see what is the error we are getting. See, now it says a error. What is the error? Duplicate entry for key student primary. Last time we were not getting this error. This time we are getting, because this time roll number is marked as a primary key. That is the reason we are getting this error. So whenever you create a table, you need to make sure that you have at least one column as a primary key column. So the primary key column has multiple usages. We'll be seeing that in few minutes. So the first usage is that you will not be allowed to have duplicate entries for specific columns. Now let me enter some few data. So let me enter 3 student, and this student doesn't have the last name, and let me enter one more student. Fine. So now let us select star from student. We'll have 4 data. Now we have 4 data. Now we are going to concentrate on insert query now. So now let us try to concentrate on insert query. So let us go to paint. We will try to analyze this insert query. Fine. So now let us try to work on this insert query part. Now this insert query has a very specific structure. This insert into is a keyword. You cannot change it. This is a standard of SQL. Then the student is nothing but that is the table name. And value is once again a keyword. Then you are going to provide your values. So here, whenever you are providing a values, you need to remember 3 points. The point number 1, it must be in the same order of your column. Same order of your column. If you do any mismatch, the column will be replaced. For example, here our order of the column is nothing but, we will just see the order of the column. So if you see the order of column, you can describe the table. So this is the order of our column. Now, see here the first column is roll number. So what will happen? The data you enter first will go to roll number. Data you enter next will go to first name. The third data will go to last name, and fourth data will go to your age. So that is why the order of the column is very important. That is the first point you need to remember. And let us go to the second point. In second point, whenever you enter a numerical value, single quote or double quote is not required. Quote is not required. And whenever, point number 3, whenever you enter any data for varchar or for date, always wrap it under single or a double quote. So you need to remember these 3 points always, because if you make any mistake in these points, your data will not be stored properly into the database. So this is the fundamental of your insert query. Fine. So now let us see about a special case. Now I have a case 1 where there is a student. a student called as Ramya, age 29. But Ramya is not having a last name. So now how I can insert this table? So there are another methods what you can use. Now let us see how we can do it. So let me open the command prompt. Insert into your table name. Before entering the values, you can give the column names for which columns you are providing. That is, you are overriding the default order. Then you can give values. So roll number 1004. First name is going to be Ramya. Since next is age, I can skip the last age or last name. I can go for the age. So this is also perfectly fine. Okay, roll number is repeating. I will make it as 105. So this is also fine. This is one way of inserting your data. And you can also change the order of the column. For example, if I want to enter age first, I can make it as age, first name and roll number. So I can have the values. Now I need to enter the age first. So let me say 26, first name Kamala, and age, next we have roll number 1006. So this is also perfectly allowed. So you can have multiple types of insert command. So everything will be inserting the data until unless you are following the proper column structure. Either you need to follow the default structure, or you can alter the structure inside your insert query itself. Fine. So now we are done with the insert part. Now we are going to concentrate more on the select part. So whenever I am executing the select query, you can see that I always make this command, select star from table name. Now we are going to try to analyze how this select query is going to work. So now let us try to understand this select query. So this is my table structure. Now the usual select query, what we do, select star. We use a special symbol from the table student. So here if you see, this select is a keyword, from is a keyword, this is a table name which you need to change based on your table. Now we are going to discuss morely on this star. This is a very important point. So whenever you say star, that means you are saying I want to display all the columns. So that is why whenever I execute select star from student, it is displaying all the columns. Now consider a case 1 where I want to display only first name and last name. So here you cannot use the star. Now let us try to write a query for it. So if you want a query to display only first name and last name, you need to execute a select query. Instead of star, you need to mention your column names, first name, last name, from your table name, student. So this will display only the two columns. Let us try this. Select first name, last name from student. So it will display only the two columns. And it is not that you can give only in this order. You can change the order of the columns also. You can also display the last name and first name. So in whichever order you mention the columns, it will be printed. Okay. So this is how we are going to handle our select part. This is just one part. Now, let me display all the data once again. Now, if I want to find how many students are there in my table, that is also possible in your select command. So that means I need to know the count of students in my table. So let us try to understand that. So that is select count of star from student. So it will say me how many students are there in the table. So this is a special selector. So we are not going to view the data. We are going to see the count of the data using your count. So this is the next query. Then I want to see who is the eldest among the student. That is also possible. So let us see how to make a possible. What is the maximum age we have here? So select maximum of age from student. So it will give me the maximum age of my student. If I want to find the minimum, that is also possible. If I say minimum, I will be able to display the name. These are all special cases in this select. We can use just to get a kind of a report. Instead of viewing the data, we are only trying to get a report out of my select query. So not only this, you can do many other operations. I can add all my ages using sum. So sum of your column name from student. So I can get the sum. So like this, you have many functions. These functions are called as aggregate functions. The functions like min, max, sum, average, these are all called as aggregate function. Why we call it as aggregate? Aggregate means nothing but it is going to take the whole data and it is going to give a summary. That is what we call aggregate. So these things are doing that. So that is why we call them as aggregate functions. So these are all part of your select query. Now let us try to select the data once again from student. Now I have one more scenario. In this scenario, I want to display only students whose age is more than 25. So that also is possible. So select star from student using a condition called var. Age is greater than 25. So I will be displayed only people whose age is more than 25. Even though Siva and Brinda are having age 25, they will not be included here because the request is greater than. If you want their names to be included, you need to say it as greater than and equal to, so that they also will be included. Okay, now let us try to understand this var clause also. See, this var clause is to work with the rows. That is, it is restricting the rows. Star is to work with the columns. So whenever you want to work on the columns, you need to work on the star area. Whenever you want to work on the rows, you need to use your var clause. So based on the requirement, you need to choose the structure of your select query. Now, I have one more requirement. Before that, let me display all the students one more time. Now, I want to display the students whose age is more than 25 and their last name must be Raj. That is what my requirement. So if I execute this command, I am getting everyone with 25. I do not want that. I want 25, but at the same time, last name must be Raj. So to do that, I can have multiple conditions by using and last name equal to Raj. So what will happen? Now it will check both the conditions, saying that age also must be greater than or equal to 25. At the same time, name must be Raj, so that I will get only one output called Ashok Raj. This is one case. Now there is another case. I want to print students who are below 25 or their roll number must be below 1002. This is my requirement. My requirement is that age must be below 25 or at least their roll number must be below 1002. Let us try to do that scenario. So age must be less than 25 and my roll number must be less than 1002. So now I want to implement OR. OR means either of the condition must be satisfied. If any one condition is satisfied, then that is more than enough. It can be displayed on the output. Sorry. Now if you see, Hema is the only person with age less than 25, but Ashok is also coming there whose age is 29. The reason is that because of this OR. OR means any one condition is satisfied, then the row will be printed on the output. That is why here we are getting both the outputs. So in where clause we have two conditions. We have AND. When you have AND, both conditions must be satisfied. If you have OR, any one condition is satisfied. This is the difference between AND and OR. So based on your requirement, you need to select which type of AND or OR you need to use. We call this as gating. So you would have studied gating in your 11th or 12th physics. So we'll just have a overview of that gating before going for the next topic. So in your gating, you have two types of gates. One is AND gate and your OR gate. So AND gate means you have two conditions, condition C1 and condition C2. So based on this output, you will get the final output. If C1 is true and C2 is true, final output is true. If C1 is true, C2 is false, it is false, because AND gate requires both to be true. And if C1 is false and another one is true, then the total is false. Both are false, then altogether is false. On other hand, you have OR gate where it works little differently. If both are true, obviously it is true. If C1 is true and C2 is false, according to OR gate, 1 is enough. So that since 1 is true, the entire thing is true. We have the first one is false, second one is true. Here also at least 1 is true, the entire one is true. If both are false, obviously this also goes false. So this is the logic we are using in our AND gate and OR gate. Based on this gate logic, the final output will be mentioned. So this is about your insert as well as your select query. Now, let us go to our database. Let me describe the table student. Now I have 4 columns. Now consider I want to add a new column. I missed a column called gender. So I want to add a new column. So now whenever you want to add a new column, you cannot delete this table and create it. If you try to delete the table, you will lose the already inserted data. I do not want that. I want to only add a new column without disturbing my data. So let us see how to do it. So to perform that, we have a query called as alter query. Alter query means nothing but it is going to add or remove or modify your column. So this is a part of your DML, this alter, which is going to alter the structure. So now let us see how it is going to alter the structure. So alter table name. Now I need to add a gender column, right? So I need to use a keyword called add gender, that is the column name, data type of the column, and give a semicolon. That's it. So if I enter, a new column will be added. If you describe your table now, you will have a new column called gender. And if you select the data from the table, the new column will have null because you haven't provided any value. Whenever you haven't provided any value for the column, it will be null if it is varchar. If it is numerical, it will be 0. So that is how it works. Now, I want to update this gender column. That is, I want to edit it. Whenever I want to edit a data, I am going to use this update query. So now we are getting into our 7th query. We have created a table. We know how to This is not delete, this is drop. We know how to drop a table. We have seen a command on alter, adding a column. We know how to insert a data. Now we are going to see update the data. Already we also seen about select part. That is also your DML only. Now we are going to see into the delete part. Let us see how we're going to see about the update part. How we are going to update. Now, my scenario here is to update the gender column. I want to add genders to my students. Now let me take the first student called Ashok Raj. I want to make Ashok Raj as a male gender. Let us see how to do it. So update. So update is a keyword using which you are going to perform the update option. So update table name student. So I am going to update the table called student set. This is a keyword. Which column I am going to set? Gender. What is the value? Male. So this is done. So this update query will work, but here this query has a logical problem. After executing, we will find what logical problem we have here. So let me execute it. So now after execution, let me select the table. If you see here, every column is becoming male because this query you need to understand now. Let us try to understand this query. Now you executed a query, update student set gender equal to male. We executed this query. So now this was my previous table. This was my previous table. When you executed this query, I never told for whom I need to update. I never told for whom I need to update. So because of that, what it has done, it has updated all the rows. That is why we are getting all the rows as a male data because we haven't told for whom we need to update. So the mistake is ours. So now I am going to tell for whom you need to update. Now Ashok Raj said male, there is no issues. Now I have another student called Brinda 1003. I need to update Brinda alone as a female. So what I am going to do? Update student set gender equal to female. I need to use a same where clause what you used in your select. Now in this column I need to pick a column which can identify Brinda individually. So who can identify that? That is roll number. So Brinda's roll number is 1003. So where roll number equal to 1003. So that what will happen whenever you execute this query, it will search which student is having this roll number. So only that student will be updated. So let me just click enter. It is updated. Now let us select the data. Select star from student. So now you can see only Brinda is alone updated with the female because of this where clause. So like this, I can update in another method. Now, I want to update Hema, Ramya, Kamala, all three people into female gender. Now I know that I can execute the commands 104 once, 105, 106 like that. So I'm not going to do like that, but because I need to execute 3 times. So what I'm going to do, where roll number is greater than 103, because I know that Hema, Ramya, Kamala, their roll number is above 103. So I need not to worry about executing 3 times. I can make a condition such a way that change the gender to female where the roll number is more than 1003. So obviously Hema, Ramya and Kamala will be selected. They will be updated as female. So let me execute it. Let me select the data. So now you can see they are all getting updated. So this is how you need to update. So whenever you update any table, please be sure that you are using a proper var clause. If you are not using proper var clause, then you might lose your data. That will get into your data inconsistency problem. So update is a very dangerous command because it can change the value itself. So be very careful when making an update command. Fine. Now that is done. Now here in this command, I am only updating one column. Now I am going to update two columns. Now let us take an example of Ramya. I want to update last name as John and age as 28. I want to update two columns. Let us see how I can do it. So set last name equal to John and comma age equal to 28, where roll number equal to exactly Ramya's roll number 1004. So now both the columns will be updated for roll number 1004. Let me enter. Let me select the data from student. So now you can see that, oh sorry, we have given the wrong roll number. Actually roll number of Ramya is 1005. So now if you select the data, you can see Ramya's data is being updated. So you can update single column at a time or you can update multiple columns at a time. But whenever you update, you need to make sure that you are forming a proper var clause. This var clause is very, very important in this update part. Fine. So now this is done. Now we have done about our insert, select, update. Now we are going for the another command called as delete. Fine. So now I have some 6 students. Now I need to delete some student out of it. Now consider I want to delete data of Kamala 1006. So there is another DML command called as delete, which can delete rows from your table. So let me execute it. Delete from student. This command also will work, but this is also once again a dangerous command like update. Whenever you execute a student delete, delete will remove all the rows if you do not have a var clause. So I am not going to execute this command. We will lose our data because we are telling to delete, but we are not having any var clause. So it will delete the entire rows. So I do not want that. I am going to say delete var roll number equal to 1006. So only a row which is having a roll number 1006 will be removed. So let me give a enter. Let me select the data again. So now you can see only one row is getting deleted. So this is how you will be managing your data. So the commands called as select, insert, update and delete. These are all called as data manipulation because they handle the data, that is they handle the rows. And the commands like create, drop and alter, they are called as DDL. Why? Because they handle the structure, that is they handle the columns. That is why we call them as DDL. Fine. Now let us go back to the table. So let us describe the table. So now few minutes before we added a column called gender. So we use the alter command. What is the alter command we use? So in your MySQL command prompt, you can use your up arrow to get to your previous commands. That is your history of commands. Now we use this alter command to add a new column. Now I am going to do one more command, a command using which we can change the name of the column. Okay, that is what we are going to do. Now let us try to change the name of the column. Now I want to change the gender column into a column name called sex. So let me use a keyword for it. So alter table student. Instead of add, I'm going to use a keyword called as change. And which column I need to change? Gender. And what I need to change? I need to change it into sex, and I need to give the type of the column. So what this will do, this will once again rename your column from gender to sex. So add means it will add a column. So alter is having multiple varieties. Add and change. So add means nothing but it is going to add a new column. Change means nothing but it is going to rename your column. Now there is one more command. For example, let me add another column. Let me add a column. Add. Let me add a column like how many arrears they have. So add arrears varchar 10. So let me describe. So now if you see here, arrears can be a count. So it is better if I have an integer, but I have given it as a varchar. So now I need to change the data type. So to change the data type also, alter has a command in it. So alter table student. Instead of add or change, I can use modify. And which column I need to modify? Arrears. And instead of varchar, I want to convert it as integer. So if you describe now, arrears will be changed to integer. So now we have one more alteration or one more type in alter called modify, which will change the data type. Now we have one more alteration in our alter. Now consider I do not want that arrear column. I want to remove it. That is also possible in alter. Alter table student drop arrears. So that column will be removed. So if you describe your table, you can see that column has been removed. So alter has 4 varieties in it. Add, change, that is to rename, modify to change the data type, and drop to remove the column. So alter is a one command which has multiple varieties in it. So based on your business requirement, you need to choose what variety of alter command you are going to use. Now, we have discussed about our insert, our delete, and our select. Now let us go for the next method. Now let me select all the data from the student. Fine. Now I want to make a order by. My data is now ordered in the way I have inserted it. Now I want to order my students like elder to oldest. That is, I need to make order based on my age of the student. So instead of just executing select star from student, I can execute a command called as order by age. So what will happen? Data will be ordered in the order of age, so that it is ordered in the ascending order. Usually by default, order by works in the ascending order only. If you want to do it descending, you need to specifically mention DSE. That means you need to have a data in the descending order. And it is not that order by can be done only on numerical columns. You can even do it using your varchar columns. You can even try with your first name also. So in any column it will work. So if you do not mention descending, by default it always do it in the ascending order. If it is descending order, then you need to mention specially with DESE keyword, so that it is done in the reverse manner. So this is another way of your select. Now let us try with the one more table. Before getting into one more table, I will also show you one more command in this select part, which is a very interesting part. Now, whenever I am selecting from my student, I am getting roll number, first name, last name, age and sex. Now, I do not want first name and last name to be two different columns. I want them to be displayed as a same column. So let us see how to do it. So select roll number, concat. Concat is a keyword. Concat means nothing but it is going to join two columns. Okay, it is going to join two columns. So what are the two columns I need to join? I need to join my first name and my last name. So let us see how to do that. Concat first name, comma, last name as full name. So this as we will see little bit later. As full name, age, sex from student. Now you can see first name, last name is being added together. If I want to have a space between first name, last name, that is also possible. Along with first name, last name, I can provide a empty space. So I am adding three datas: first name, empty space, last name, so that you will have a space between your first name and your last name. So this is also completely possible with your select command. So concat is nothing but it is just taking two datas together and it is showing it as a one name. Now here we use the keyword called as. So let us see what is this keyword is all about. Fine. So we have a new keyword here called as. So now, whenever I'm executing SQL query, I very well know that column names are very important. So now, whenever I say select roll number, a roll number column will be created. Whenever I say age column will be created. Sex column will be created. Now, I'm going to concatenate. So concatenate is very well. I'm going to take data from this column D1 and I'm going to leave a empty space and data from L name D2. But this column is not having a common name. Either I can show it as first name or last name, but I'm not having a common name. So as means it is just a temporary name. This is not in the table. It is not in the table. It is just a temporary name. Only for view purpose. It is not actually there. So the concatenated output will be stored in this full name only for a temporary purpose. If you go to your table, you will not have this full name. So this as means nothing but it is a temporary display name. So if you go to describe, the student will never have it. And this as can be used even without concatenate. For example, select roll number, first name, sex as gender from student. So instead of displaying it as sex, it will be displaying it as gender. So as can be used anytime along with your column name. So you can alter your column name for a temporary time only for a view purpose. It will not change in the actual table. So that is how your as condition is working. Fine. So now I hope that everyone is clear with that. Now we will also deal with one more concept. So now we have 5 students. Now I want to display only a student whose ID or roll number is 1004. So let me display that student where roll number equal to 1004. This is fine. This already we have seen it. Now I want to display with another condition. I want to display students with roll number 1004, 1005, and 1001. So that is I want to display students with roll number 1001, 1002, sorry, 1004 and 1005. So let me write a select clause for it. So select star from student where roll number is greater than 100. If I do like this, I will get 1001, 4 and 5. But along with that, I will also get 2 and 3. But that I do not require. So this condition will not work. If I say greater than 1003, 104, sorry, 145 will be available, but 1001 will not come. So this also will not work. If I say equal to 1001, I will be able to get only 1001, 4 and 5 will not come. So now we are going to have a different var class called in 1001, 1004 and 1005. So what this command will do is, it is like you are writing multiple equal to's. So this command is equivalent to So actually this command is equivalent to 3 equal to's. Let us see what are the equal to's it is equal to. It is like writing a var clause where roll number equal to 1003 or roll number 1004 or roll number 1005. So what it will do, it will pick any rows which is coming under any one of the condition. That is why we have got the output as Ashok, Hema and Ramya. If you would have used AND gate, it will not work. So in is nothing but in is a implementation of your OR gate. So that is why we are getting this condition. Fine. So I hope that everyone is clear with this in part. Now let us select all the students again. Select star from student. Now I want to select student whose name starts with A. That is what my requirement. I want to select a student whose name or the first name starts with A. So let us do that. Select star from student where first name equal to A. If I say like this, no one will be coming, because if you say equal to, the first name must be exactly A. But the condition is what? It needs to start from A. So you cannot use equal to symbol. So now let us see how to use this equal to symbol. Now select star from A where first name. So we are not going to use equal to, we are going to use a special keyword called like A star. Sorry, percentage. So now you can see Ashok will be coming. Now let us see how this is working. So this is our command. Fine. Now here we are going to concentrate on this like part. Here we haven't used any equal to. It is like. Like means A percentage. So what is this? That means here I am worried that the starting must be A. And the percentage says that I am not worried about balance. So that means your name must start with A and I am not worried about whatever that comes after. This can be anything. That is what this meaning. So that is what I am getting this particular part. Now, if I want to get the students whose name ending with A, I can just reverse it. So this will be the reverse operation, percentage A. So here I want student's name whose name can be anything but ends with A. I am not worried about their first few characters. That I am not worried about. So I will be getting the people whose name ending with A. So if you say Ashok will not be there because ending name of Ashok is in K. So that will not be coming here. So this is how your like is working. Now I can create a mixture of these two. This is also possible. P percentage A. So this means I am saying that student name must start with P. In between anything can be there and end it must be A. I am not worried about the in between part. This is also possible. So P percentage A. That means I'll get only Branda because only that student name starts with P and ends with A. So like that you can create your own conditions using your like. Instead of using equal to means it must be exactly matching. If you have pattern matching, then you need to go about your like statement. So select has a multiple varieties of select. So this is a large set. So from this large set, you can specifically pull out whatever information you want using this combination of order by, where, equal to, greater than, like. So based on your business requirement, you can choose what is that you want to exactly perform. Fine. So now we are done with the basic commands, that is 2 sets of commands. So let us just have an overview of it, what are things we have discussed. So we started with DML language, that is DDL language, data definition language. So that is what we saw first. So in the first part, what we did, we created a database and we created a table, and using alter we did 4 operations. What are the operations? We added a new column, we changed column name, we modified column type, we also dropped the column, that is we removed it. These are done by alter, and we also had executor drop, which will delete your entire table. Now on other hand, we saw about DML, data manipulation language. So there we saw a command called insert. So in insert we saw 2 types. One is inserting in the traditional way, that is actual column flow. Based on your describe command, and we also had a customized insert by providing the column names all out by ourselves. Then we had select. So in select we discussed about star and specific columns. We discussed about as keyword, where you can change the column name temporarily for view purpose. Then we discussed about where clause, where I can restrict what rows I need to see. And in where clause we discussed about equal to, greater than, less than, greater than equal to, less than equal to. We discussed about like command and or gates. These are things we were seeing, and also we were seeing something like order by, to make ascending descending order. That is by default it is always in ascending. If you want, you can make it to descending. So other than that, in select we have some aggregate functions, sum of a column, maximum value of a column, minimum value of a column. Like that we were seeing multiple types. And we also saw about update, where you can update either one column or multiple columns. And finally we saw delete, where you can remove a row, that is remove a data. And whenever you execute update and delete, you need to make sure that you are using a proper where clause. If you are not using proper where clause, what will happen? Your entire data will be either deleted or modified. So that will lead to a data inconsistency problem. So to avoid that, whenever you do a update and a delete command, you need to make sure that you always have a proper where clause. Now, let us go back to our database. Now, I have two sets of students. I have some female students and I have some male students. Now, what I want to do is, I want to see how many male students I have, how many female students I have. That is what I need to see. So, let us see, try to do that. Select count of star as total from student. So what this will do, this will say how many students we have totally in a total column. So totally we have 5, but I do not want that. I want to know gender wise, how many male, how many female. So to do that, there is an option called group by. And group by which column? Sex. So group by sex, you will enter. So now you can see 2 and 3, but I am not able to see who is 2, who is 3. That is whether male is 2 or female is 2. I am not able to see that. So now along with the total, I will also display sex as gender. So now male is 2, female is 2. So using this group by, you can also get another summary report. Based on the value of a column, you can pick how many people are falling into this particular category. So that is called as group by. So group by is nothing but it is a direct reporting based on a value of a column. So that group by can be done based on any column. It is not that you always need to do with the varchar column. You can even do it with a numerical column. If I want to do by age, I can just group it by age. So in 29 I have 1 student, 25 I have 2 students, and 28 I have another 2 students. So totally we have 5 students. So you can use your group command to create your quick reporting process. So these are the DML and DDL commands we have in our database. So now we have one more set of command to view here. So let us see what does that mean. Now I have a table called student. Now I need to rename the table. I do not want the table to be student. I want it to be called it like employee. So let us see how we can do that. So rename table student to employee. So this will rename the table. So this is also part of your DDL because this doesn't touch the data. This only touches your table, that is your structure. So this rename table is part of your DDL. Okay, this is one part. Now in our DML we have one command called delete, which deletes the entire row or a specified row. In our DDL also we have a command called as truncate. So drop means it will delete the table. Truncate means it will delete the contents, delete the rows alone. That is, it is actually equivalent to your delete without where clause. So let us try to do it. So truncate table name. Now we are going to lose all the data. So now if you select, table will be there, but there will be no data. So no data because truncate. But if you execute drop, table itself will be deleted. You will not even have the table. Okay, that is the difference between drop and truncate. Drop means your table itself will be deleted. Truncate means table will be there, only data will be deleted. So these are all your data definition language, that is your DDL. So you need to always try to understand this commands classification. So based on your requirement, you need to pick the proper SQL command. Fine. Now let me create one more table. So create. Let me create a table called product. Create table product. ID for a product, integer 100. Name of the product, varchar 100. And units, how many units I have purchased, int 10. And price, int 10. And primary key is going to be the ID column. So now it is created, product table. Now I will insert some data into it. Insert into product, values, ID 1, name is going to be pen, number of units 10, and price is going to be some 20. That is done. So let me insert one more data, pencil 2, 10 with the price of 5. So now see here, every time I have to provide the ID. So providing ID is very tedious. I need to remember what I have entered earlier and I need to maintain that flow manually. Now there is a mechanism where you can say your MySQL, you need to manage the table's ID so that you no need to provide any data for the ID column. It will automatically try to manage the ID. So let us see how we can do that. I will drop the product table. I will create the table again. So whenever I am creating the table, for this ID column, I will add one more information, and that information is called auto increment. So whenever I declare any column as auto increment, hereafter I no need to give a value for it. It will be automatically taken by MySQL starting from 1. It will go 1, 2, 3 like that. So let us try it. Now the table is created. Let us describe the table. So now if you see, ID is not only primary, it is also auto increment, so that I no need to give the value for it. So insert into product. I am going to provide value for name, unit and price. Values, name of the product is pen. You can check this query. I am not giving value for the ID. So I am going to buy 10 pens for 10 rupees. And I am going to insert another item, pencil, 10 pencil for 5 rupees. So now I had 2 items. Both the place I haven't given any ID, but if you select your product, you will have IDs as 1 and 2 because that is provided as auto increment. Whenever you coin any column as auto increment, that column will be automatically managed by your MySQL. So you no need to worry about it and you need to provide any value for it. You can just leave it so that MySQL will be start providing value for it starting from 1 sequentially plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 like that. So that is how your auto increment is going. So this is how we will be organizing our table. Fine. So that's just about this DDL and DML. Now we will look into one more concept, general rules, how we usually structure a table. Now, whenever you want to create a table, make sure that you have a unique name for a table. Because in one database, you cannot have a repetitive table. Every table must have a unique name. So always have a unique name for a table. Then organize your columns always with a primary key. Do not create any table without a primary key, because if you do not have primary key, then your delete operation and your update operation will become very hard, or sometimes they also become impossible, because without primary key you will not be able to pinpoint one particular information. So without pinpointing one particular information, doing your update or delete becomes very tedious. So that is why always organize your columns with primary key. And there are two types of primary key. Number one, primary key can be part of your data or it can be a simple ID. If it is a part of a data, you can just have it, no issues on that. If it is an ID column which is not part of your data, like this product table, say this product table, ID is not part of the data. The data is only name, unit and price. So whenever you have a separate column IDs only for primary key, it is not part of your data, always have it as auto increment so that MySQL will take care of it. In our student example, I coined roll number as a primary key, but I never made it as auto increment because that is part of my data. So that means I will manage the value in it. So that is why there I never increased the auto increment. But in case of product, ID is not part of my data. I'm not worried about what ID, what product gets. So that is the reason I made product ID as a auto increment. Okay, is that I hope that everyone is clear with this topic. So that's it for today's session. So today's session is mainly concentrated on TDL and DM. So in tomorrow's session, we are going to concentrate mostly on this part called as your DCL and TCL. That is how you are going to control your users inside your database and how you can have a transactional control like rollback, save point, commit, and along with that, we will also be seeing how to take a database backup. How to take a database backup, how to restore a database, where exactly your database are stored in your file system, because somewhere in your operating system it has to be stored. So we are going to see how this is stored and how to take a backup, how to restore from the backup, because whenever you deal with the database, there are always opportunities of crash. That means your system might get crashed, there might be some data loss. So data backup and data restore are very crucial part. Whenever you become a database administrator, you need to have a backup calendar. Backup calendar means nothing but some companies take backups every day. Some companies take 2 times a day. Some take once in 3 days or once in week. Based on the importance of the data, they will decide how frequently they need to have a backup. So that is very, very important. So that also we'll be seeing on the next part. So next day's session will also be scheduled on the same time, same 10 o'clock. So you can use the same link, and the same link will be added to your Google Calendar so that you get your alerts. So you can join on the same link on tomorrow's session. So we'll be dealing with that. And also tomorrow, I will also explain you about the e-certificate, how to get your e-certificate. So after the session, we will try to fill a small form to apply for the e-certificate. Once you are done with the form, you will get a call for verification from our team. So once the verification is done, you will be getting all your e-certificates. Okay, fine. So I hope that everyone is happy with today's session and you all learned new content today. And also I hope that tomorrow also we'll be having a fresh content. And if you wish, you can also invite your friends also. And not only tomorrow, we are planning for sequence of free workshops every Saturday and Sunday. So next week, we are planning for a PHP workshop. Okay, so if you suggest that you want some other topic for the workshop, you can please mention to us. I will share our email ID. Just give me a minute. So you can have this email ID. So you can suggest if you think any other topics you require for a free workshop for you or for your colleges or for your friends. You can drop a mail to us so that we'll be able to connect with you. Or I will also share a mobile number. You can send a WhatsApp message on this number so that we'll be able to create workshops calendar based on your request. Okay, so next week is PHP. So if you want any other topic, so please mention us so that I can check with my team so whether that can be handled or. So I'm just giving you two numbers. So you can contact on either of the number and you can update your suggestions. You can give your feedback on this session so that it will be easy for us to improve us. Okay, fine. So thank you very everyone. Yeah, thank you for all your replies. So we will meet once again on tomorrow, same time 10 o'clock, and we will do the remaining parts of our SQL. And this recorded video will be updated by today night. Okay, yeah, fine. So and if you have any interest on watching free tutorials, you can also subscribe to our channel so that there also will be posting free tutorials. We'll take a use case and we'll be demonstrating that, so you can also watch that. Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. Let us meet on tomorrow session. Yeah, thank you. Feedback link will be shared on tomorrow. Feedback link as well as your e-certificate link. Both will be shared on tomorrow. Both are same form only. Initially, you need to just mention your email ID and your mobile number, your name, your date of birth, what is education. Under that, you will have a feedback. So it is just a single form. So that we will be shared on tomorrow evening. Okay. Thank you everyone.